knows?" It was a piercing shriek, echoing off the walls of the townhouse, arresting Evie in her tracks as she attempted to creep up the stairs. "I think your mother knows you're home, Miss Evie," the butler said, in a typically massive understatement. "Yes, thank you, Goatley," Evie said on a sigh, abandoning her attempt to sneak up the stairs and heading for the door to the parlour. "Would you have tea and cake sent in, please?" "I'm not sure tea and cake will soothe Mrs. Hallidan's temper, Miss Evie, but of course." The kindly butler, who had known Evie her entire life, gave her a gently admonishing glance as he opened the parlour door for her. "You've really done it this time, Miss Evie," he murmured quietly as she walked past him. "Best be prepared to grovel." Grovelling was very much not in Evie's nature. "Gambling!" Mrs. Hallidan cried, throwing her hands up in the air. "On a horse race? Oh, Evadne, what were you thinking?" "I was thinking that Lord Dunallen's grey was clearly the faster animal, and it was quite inexplicable that everyone was backing Mr. Hyton's chestnut," Evie muttered under her breath. And I was right. She had the 5 guineas in her pocket to prove it, 5 guineas which had been 10 shillings earlier that morning. "You were seen!" her mother shrieked, flapping a lace-edged handkerchief. "Not only placing the wager, but cheering and shouting with a crowd of rowdy young bucks at the finish line." Evie could see how this might be considered objectionable, uncouth conduct, if she happened to be a debutante, some eligible miss fresh on the marriage mart. Someone like her half-sister Sophie. Evie, however, was 27, and so far back on the shelf she might as well be invisible. "I cannot imagine anyone would care, Mamma." She restrained herself from shrugging. "Nobody cares what I do, including you." "Selfish, headstrong girl!" her mother wailed, the histrionics showing no sign of decreasing in volume or intensity. "Sir Eric Fitzwalter is on the verge of offering for Sophie, and his mother is one of the highest sticklers in the ton. Lady Fitzwalter called here not an hour hence and confided in me her very great concerns about your conduct." Wait. Evie stilled. Is he reconsidering? He cannot be. Surely. He adores Sophie, and she's the prize of the season. She was also the one person in the world Evie loved unconditionally. "If he marries someone else, it will be all your fault." Evie bit her lip. She had truly never imagined that whatever she did might reflect badly on Sophie. Nobody had cared a fig for what Evie did since she'd made her own underwhelming debut. "You're just like your father!" And there it is. Evie was the product of her mother's first marriage to Edward Kernow, a gentleman from Cornwall her mother had never spoken of in terms of anything other than disparagement. Wastrel, rake, gambler. A fool who'd fallen from his horse during a drunken race against one of his cronies and left his widow in straitened circumstances and his daughter fatherless. The widow Kernow had been fortunate enough to catch the eye of another suitor and married Bertram Hallidan after a suitable interval of mourning. In due time they were blessed with Sophie, universally adored by all the family. Mr. Hallidan tolerated Evie well enough, but he made it clear that Sophie was the apple of his eye and heir to his considerable fortune, whereas Evie was to be considered fortunate that her mother's parents were willing to settle £1,000 on her. A different girl might have resented Sophie's good fortune, but Evie considered herself lucky. She had never wanted to be the toast of the ton, to be pursued by every young buck, and plenty not so young, with an eye to the fortune she was due to inherit. Besides, nobody could resent Sophie, the sweetest girl ever to draw breath. Evie would not for a moment see her hurt, and Sophie was genuinely fond of Sir Eric, a wealthy man in his own right, who was certainly not pursuing Sophie for her inheritance.